Hey, it's Melia from the Morning Kickstart. Welcome to my tiny kitchen, also known as Melia's Test Kitchen. I'm going to be making some easy beefy stew, and that's our first recipe for Melia's Test Kitchen, submitted by Mary Gropper from Chelsea. Thank you, Mary, for sending in this recipe. Now, I have all my ingredients ready to go. I'm not going to make you watch all of the prep work, just going to give you a little rundown of what we're going to use for the recipe. So we start with 1.5 pounds of stew meat, which I got at the meat counter at Marshalltown Hy-Vee. All of these things came from Hy-Vee, with the exception of the flour, salt, and pepper, which I already had on hand. We also have an onion. I chose to use frozen green beans because that'll be the last thing that we're adding after the majority of the cooking's been done, but I'll talk about that later. And you can see the recipe on our Facebook page, Iowa's Best Country, Kicks 101.1. Also, we're going to need 4 medium-sized potatoes cut up. We're going to need tomatoes, carrots, and celery. So I have all of those things here. I'm going to go ahead and do the prep work. Once I have everything cleaned and cut up, we'll check it out.
Okay, so all of my ingredients have been prepped. We have here our 4 potatoes that have been washed and scrubbed and chopped. We have our green beans and carrots, 2 cups of carrots. We have 2 cups of chopped tomatoes. We have half a cup of chopped onion. We have 1 cup of chopped celery, 2 cups of water, and 1.5 pounds of Hy-Vee stew meat, which I have already added our flour mixture to. What I put in it was 1 teaspoon, of black pepper and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I went ahead and just tossed that in the bag, coated all the pieces, so that's ready to go. So the first thing we're going to do is just add our potatoes to the crock pot. Yeah, I'm doing this all handheld, and that's way too many potatoes for my little crock pot. I had a feeling this might be a problem. So we're going to get a nice bed of potatoes going here. We've got our bed of potatoes there. Now those are going to cook down, obviously, some when we put everything in there. So the next thing we're going to do is add the meat. Be right back when I do that. So now we've added the stew meat to the crock pot. It's sitting there on top. So next up, we are going to add the tomatoes and water. Now, since nothing is fitting as planned, we're going to not quite put in all the tomatoes. I'm actually doing something else over here, adding them to my Dutch oven on my stove, and I'm going to cook them that way, and we'll see what happens. So we have added the tomatoes. Now, and then we're going to add the onions as well, most of the onions. Add the rest of them to my Dutch oven. And then we're going to add some of our celery. Then our recipe calls for 2 cups of water. Since we're not adding everything, we're going to take that down to about 1 1/3. Should be about right there. Yep. We'll add the rest over here, which I'm going to just turn on the oven and stick that in there. So now that we've got everything that's going in the crock pot right now in there, we're going to give it a good stir. Hope you're not getting seasick from my walking around. Stir it up. I'm excited about this. I have to eat anyway, right? So this works. Alright, so we kind of stirred those around a little bit to the best of my ability. I'm going to put the lid on the crock pot, and then it's going to sit there and cook overnight. While I sleep, I'm going to get up really early like I do, and 7 to 8 hours, that'll be done, except for the last little bit of vegetables. So we'll add the carrots and the green beans in the morning, and let that cook until those are tender, and then we'll try it out on the Morning Kickstart. So hopefully you will join me, and we will see how our great, easy, beefy stew turns out. Okay, so a little update on our progress.
I had a little trouble getting everything into my small crock pot, and then it turns out that my crock pot no longer works. So I have a new crock pot, and we did get all of the recipe in there. It is on high for the moment just to try and catch up because my timetable is a little bit behind, but in general 7 to 8 hours on low. So still in the morning I will add the rest of the vegetables. I'll turn this down on low when I go to bed here in a little while, and then I'll add the other vegetables in the morning, and we'll see how it turns out. So join us on the Morning Kickstart Monday, Wednesday, and Friday when we talk about Melia's Test Kitchen, and we'll have Jennifer Scales, a Hy-Vee dietitian, come in on Wednesday, and she's going to tell us how we can improve this recipe and talk about our next recipe that we're going to be doing and what we can do to make it healthier too. If you have a recipe you'd like us to try out / improve, you can send it to recipe@kicksweb.com. You can also send it to Melia@kicksweb.com if you'd rather. So that is Melia's Test Kitchen for this week. Thanks a lot.